Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Magnus, and today we're checking out other admin tools than the Smartconsole. So most of the work is made within the Smartconsole. I mean, you create all the rules, you check all the logs, and most of the settings are done within the Smartconsole, but not all. So we are going to check out some of the other admin GUIs available, and some of these you're able to go from the Smartconsole itself and to open this one. So for example, you can click on a gateway or on a management station, you can right click and select action, and then you can open shell or open Gaia Portal. But the drawback of going this way is that you cannot actually select what tool you're going to use. And I like to use Secure CRT, so I will do the same. So more or less what this one do, if you right click here and action and then open shell, first of all, you will select the username and password, and then you can click login, and it will open a CLI. And I mean, this works, but within my secure Excel, I have the same, so I can log into this specific IP address, and I already saved them here. Yes, I need to type my password. Of course, I can save it, but the difference here is that I get some nice colors. And let me just make this a bit bigger. And the reason why it says lock database override here, or more or less the reason why it says configuration lock is owned by admin, is because, well, I opened this window. So I'm already logged in, so I will just close that one down, and then I do like this. So I take this command. This is a command that, well, if you're using CLI or you're using the web portal and so on, you will remember this command. This is something that you will use, well, quite often actually. So just enter, and now I'm owning the configuration. So what we are logged into now is the user mode of the CLI. So here you're able to do show command. So for example, you can do show configuration, and then you can see all the configuration made based on text. But within here, you don't have any rules. So you cannot do like a Cisco ASA, where you see like all the firewall rules. So the firewall rules are only available within the Smartconsole, the APIs, or the web Smartconsole. And 99% of the people are using the Smartconsole to edit the rules. So you're unable to add rules within the CLI. So here you can do show commands, and you can do set commands to set different parameters like changing NTP server, DNS server, time zone, adding some IP addresses for interfaces, or doing routing. And routing is something that you're unable to do within the Smartconsole for normal clusters. When it's about VSX, you're able to do the routing, or you actually need to do the routing within the Smartconsole. Then you're unable to do it in CLI. But for normal clusters, normal gateways that is not running VSX, you don't have the option to do routing here. So then you need to use the CLI or the web interface to add your routes. So if you want to see the routing table here, well, either we can do just scroll down here in the show configuration, and at the bottom we see the routing. So we only have a default route, and then we have a static route pointing our 10 IP addresses inwards. We can also do show, and then we can do tab, and then we displayed all the commands that we can type. Also, if you're used to Cisco, so you cannot write like show run or show conf. So show conf will not work. You can, however, tab, so you can see like, okay, there are multiple options here. So if I put in this, within Cisco, you can press enter here, and it will work. Within Checkpoint, you need to tab out the complete command. So the command will not work until you write the complete command. And you can of course see different one by doing, for example, tab. So question mark doesn't work here. So tab. So then we have show. Okay, is there something about routing? Let's just scroll down. Show route. And then it says an information here. Show routing table information. Okay, show route. And then we will see a route table. So we can clearly see like, yeah, we have those two static routes. So they are with an S, and here we have static. So you're able to run dynamic routing protocols like BGP or OSPF, and then you will have a different letter here. And C stands for connected. So these are the ones that we have actually configured manually by doing a route. And these are local interfaces. So this is the user mode of the show. So you can do like show interface Ethernet 0, and you get information about that interface. There's also something called expert. So if you type expert, then you need to type in your expert password. So your expert password is not the same as your user password. So the expert password is separate. You can, however, still connect with CLI using TACAX or Radius, but that's a different video, and that's within, well, I would say CCSC maybe CCSA, I don't really know. But if you're in expert mode, then this is more or less a Linux shell. So here you cannot do show route. So show route will not work. So then you actually need to use Linux command. So that will be netstat -rn, and that will be the routing table. So this is basic Linux commands. So you can do like df-h for displaying like disk space, and -h is for human readable. You need to change directory. You can display directory by doing ls, and you can do like changing directory by doing cd ... for example, and do ls again to see where you are. So this is basic Linux commands. One that is quite often used is, for example, top. So this will display all the processes and the CPU load of the box and how much it has been up and running, like uptime. If you press 1, it will display all the CPUs. So if I press 1 here again, then it will only show the combination of the 4 CPUs. But here you can see that we have 4 CPUs. So there are a bunch of different Linux commands that you can type here. So if you're familiar with Linux, this is great for you. The expert mode is really powerful, and if you want to do advanced stuff, you may need to use expert for that to change some parameters, but it's getting less and less of that. If you do advanced troubleshooting, you need to do like TCP dumps, etc. Then you will use the expert mode to be able to do TCP dumps. So to leave you with something at least, well, a really good command to know is clear. So you get a nice clean prompt. But if you want to do, for example, well, a static route, well, then you go exit here and you do set static and use tab to figure out what command should be static route, and then we can do 20 20 20 0/24, tab again, okay, next hop, and then tab, and then you can do gateway, and then you need to have address and tab again, and it will don't say what you should put in here, but this is the IP address. So if I do question mark, it will show some information regarding it, like a help desk. I believe you can do /help as well. Not here. So then we put in the IP address. So I don't know if it will check like if you actually have a route to the next hop. I believe it will check. but I have 254.6, for example. And then it's really important, if you tab here, you need to put on. If you don't put on, it will not work. So this is how I add my additional route. So set static route, then the IP address, next hop, gateway address, and then the next hop, and then on. And just to show that this was entered in the routing table, show route, enter, and we see here. Remember, this configuration is not present within the cluster because this is not on the member number 2. So if I do show route here, you don't have it here. So if you're going to change routes on a cluster and you're not syncing the configuration, because there is a way to sync the configuration, you need to manually add the same command within the 2 boxes. And if the box would reboot now, this will be lost. So you need to do save config. So when you have done save config, this will be saved if a reboot will happen. And maybe not everyone is comfortable to do this in CLI, and maybe not everyone want to give you the possibility to actually even enter CLI. Well, then there is a web GUI. So if you open a normal, I use Chrome. So if we take the same IP address, so this would be, what was the IP address? Show interface all. Show interface. So tab is good. Ethernet 0. So that's not the real IP address that I want to connect to. This is the IP address I want to connect to. So copy. So HTTPS. Enter. And then we get the web interface. And this interface is called the Gaia Portal. And you see here, configuration locked. This is same that we did get in the CLI. So you need to press this padlock to override the configuration, because we are using the admin account, same account that we are actually connected with here. And we want to be able to do changes. So there is basic and advanced view here. I have never used basic, I only used advanced. So, well, I don't know the difference. I guess it's, well, the difference is the amount of things that you can change, but I wouldn't know why you would only use the basic. Anyway, if you want to do static routes here, well, that's under network management, and here you have static routes, and this is the one that we just added. So if we want to do this in CLI, in the Gaia portal instead, we just do add, and then we get up a little guide, so we can do like 30, 30, 30, 0, and a /24, and then we need to do add gateway, and 192.168.254.6, okay, and save. So this configuration, however, is saved. So you did see here, configuration saved. And this is applied directly as well. I still recommend you to install the policy based on anti-spoofing and such things, but the routes will be implemented directly. So as soon as you press like add, they will work. So as soon as you add them into the system, they will be in use. And this is why you do the on and off. This is how you can turn off a route or turn on a route. So What is the system actually used for, or what is this GUI more or less used for? Well, most people, at least that has worked with Checkpoint for a long time, they use this for setting up some, to do some snapshots and also to do some backups if you don't want to do it in CLI. And it's very easy to do upgrades here. So you have something called CPUs, and this is what you use when you want to do upgrades. This is something that has been available for a few years. Before, it was only in CLI, then it was in Web GUI. And in recent time, this has been added to the Smartconsole. So you're able to right-click here, Action, and do Install Hotfix or Jumbo. So you're able to do the upgrades in the Smartconsole now. And honestly, this is the easier way. And the reason for this is that Checkpoint is doing the upgrade for you. They're doing the verifications, they're doing the commands that need to fail over the traffic and so on. If you're doing it in CPUs here, you need to control the upgrade yourself. And this can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing depending on how you see it. As of today, in mid-2022, there are a few limitations, actually quite a lot of limitation of the Smartconsole upgrade, that you still need to use this CPU's portal within either the Web GUI or the CLI. So this is something that you should be aware of. This is not something that you will work with as like a help desk engineer or such. This is more when you actually go into the CCSE level, when you're doing upgrades and real maintenance. But it's good to be aware of this web interface, and it's good to be aware that this is how you actually do the upgrades if you want to proceed to go to a CCSA or a CCSE. So what more is it? Well, the management station has the same Gaia portal. So if we log into the management station IP address, the .200, it's the same IP address that is here, .200. It has the same functions here. So you can do the CPU's upgrades, you can set in the static routes, you can change DNS, you can do NTP, you can do the SNMP settings, etc. But Checkpoint has introduced a few new features when it comes to the management station. They have something called Smartview. So if you do the HTTPS to the management IP and then /Smartview, if you log in here, you will get a different interface. So this is no longer the Gaia portal. This is the Smartview. It's the same IP address. You see 1.200, 1.200, but you have the Smartview. So this is a tool that has been added a few years, and it's the possibility to check the logs. Actually, there are features within this tool that is not available within the Smartconsole. So if you want to export a lot of rules here within the Smartconsole, you have been unable to export a vast amount of logs. I don't know if this has been changed within R81.X. You can see option, file, export. So this is referencing, use the Smartview web application. This is the Smartview web application. Because if you do option here, export to CSV, you can select, I want to have 1 million log lines with all columns. And it will generate an Excel CSV file that you can send to someone if you have like a forensic and they don't want to use the specific tool. They want to import it in some super advanced CM system or whatever. But this is the way to export the logs itself. So there are times where you need to use this Smartview. And one of the times is when you want to export a large number of logs. So this is not if you have like an integration with like a CM system. This is if you want to export it at one time. Like something happened and you need to send the logs and they don't use checkpoint. So you just want to export it in a way that other people can integrate it to a different system or read it in a different system than checkpoint. So this is a good way to export logs if you don't have any direct integration that is going to happen all the time with like a CM system. And the last admin GUI that I'm going to show here is the Web Smartconsole. So if you go to the management station's IP address /Smartconsole, well, then you can see the Smartconsole in a web interface. So this Smartconsole web or Web Smartconsole should mimic or should be representing everything that you can do within the console that you actually need to install on a Windows machine. So this is really good for people that is using Mac or Linux for their computer and they want to manage checkpoint products. Sadly, not everything is up to par. So the Web Smartconsole does not have all the features. So as of mid-2022, it's not ready to be the single-use system that you can use to rule them all, so to say. But it has potential, and this is something that the checkpoint is working on, and this is something that gets more and more features every release that comes. And it gives a possibility to give some access to like application owners or maybe even customers, so they can get a web view of the rule base, and they can actually see the rules here as well, or the logs, I mean. So they can see the logs and the rules, and it's quite fast and quite efficient, but it doesn't have all the features. So for example here, you see you're missing one of the key features according to me, and that's the hit counts. So within the Smartconsole, if you go to security policy, you're able to turn on and turn off hit counts. So this is something that is not available within the Web Smartconsole. This is something that will come later on, but I don't know when. And there are more limitations. So if you want to be able to manage checkpoint products fully, you need to have a Windows machine or a Windows Jump Station that you can install the Smartconsole on and that you can manage your checkpoint products with. Of course, this can be installed on like an RDS farm or whatever, but you need to have something to install the Smartconsole on so you can fully administer a checkpoint environment. So this is the admin GUIs that are available, GUI based and CLI based. And if you want to work with the newest and fanciest and do some automation and so on, there are APIs. And if you want to read about the APIs, you can go to Checkpoint's website, or you can just search for Checkpoint API. And then you will see the management API reference. And here you have all the different API functions that are available, how to use them. There are some examples. So here it's an example on how to add VPN community that is meshed, and this is how it should be sent in. So this is via management CLI. There is also via web services. So there are examples of this, and I will not go into depth here, but the important thing to note here is that there are different versions of the APIs. So you need to go into the reference guide, all versions, and then check which version are you running on your management station. And so, for example, if I was running R8040, I need to use the API version 1.6. meaning I need to select 1.6 here to get an up-to-date list of what is available for my specific version. And of course, if we jump into 1.8, we can see the changelog here. So we can see new APIs, we can see changes from the different versions. And this is something that Checkpoint is working on more and more. And this is becoming more and more necessary if you work with Checkpoint. So this is a great way to, for example, add a bunch of different rules or add a bunch of different objects in an easy way. So it's a good way, it's a good thing to know about the APIs, and it's even better if you start to use it somewhat when it fits. So I think that's it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.